Okay, so pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions to the open meeting law, general law, chapter 30A, section 18, and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Hubbardston Finance Committee will be conducted via Zoom participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town website. No in-person attendance of meetings of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via Zoom. In the event that we are unable to do so despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website a comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, looking at my agenda, our first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of our March 2nd meeting that I circulated to the committee by email earlier this afternoon. So hopefully you have had a chance to take a look at them.
Motion to approve.
I second the motion.
Great. Any conversation? Any corrections?
Looks
None?
good.
Great. All in favor, voice vote. Susan votes yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All approved. All right, our next item. David, we're going to turn it over to you and ask for your report in particular about the fiscal year 2022 budget status, and then anything else that is going on here that is operational and capital budget related.
Certainly. Thank you very much, and pleasure to meet with you, and look forward to working with you for FY22 and part of FY23. And we hope that Ryan is safe and well and that he comes back hale and healthy.
Yes.
And we thank him for his service. One of his last acts on March 15th was to present a balanced budget to the select board. And the features of the budget is that he's continuing to address the structural deficit between where we think we are right now and where we think we're going to be in the next 5 years, with expenses outpacing revenues in the latter part of that 5-year period. Mm-hmm. He emphasized that employee wage increases are comparable to what's going on in the unions on the negotiated contract. He also said that his budget adhered to the financial policies adopted by the town. And I won't go through the details of that. You can read that, but I can talk to him. The other features is that the budget meets the select board and finance committee goals of keeping increases confined to only when they're necessary, unless there's some sort of impactful need for an increase. Public and safety and public works services are enhanced. Investments in employee retentions, and it removes, for the first time that I can tell in your history, free cash, one-time revenue from the budget. So this is the first budget presented without free cash being used for the operational budget.
Right.
The revenues, the taxation, those numbers are pretty much locked in, with the exception of 2 items. The new growth, I've increased from $120,000 to $128,000 and change. And that's to account for a better projection on what new growth is going to be like for FY22. It also takes care of a small problem within the budget in that we had not counted the library offset of $8,000 and change as an expense, but as a receipt. So the budget's off by $8,000. But that's been fixed through the new growth adjustment.
Okay.
All right. I may include in a later budget a FY22 debt exclusion payment late in FY22 two. That's estimated to be about $5,000. And that's going to be both a revenue and an expense, so it'll offset.
Okay,
State aid is based upon the governor's budget, House one. We know that the House and Senate are going to pass different budgets, so I don't expect those numbers to change significantly.
mhm,
Our local receipts are strong. I just got the third quarter revenue projections for FY21, and we're doing extremely well. We should be at 75% of revenue collection. We're at 80%. So
Great.
doing very well there. So I feel very confident with the local receipt numbers.
mhm,
Expenditures. All right. So the Quabbin Regional School District assessment increased substantially.
mhm.
Ryan says that we can't afford the entire increase. He did reduce the amount asked for by $141,000. So that's the figure that we have there, and I think that's 5,051,000 and change.
Mhm, mhm.
All other
David, is that 5,051,000? Is that with Ryan's decrease?
yes.
Thank you.
Other budgets were pretty much in the 2% range increases or less. And the retirement assessment increased by $50,000. And I think that's driven by unfunded liability within the pension system.
Right,
This is emerging as a threat among cities and towns across the Commonwealth. And there were some focused discussions about it 2 years ago with the MMA annual meeting.
mhm,
I don't think anybody's come up with good one-size-fits-all solution for that unfunded liability, but it is something that we should start paying attention to, particularly since it contributes so much to the structural imbalance of the budget. So
right.
that's the operational budget. It's very well thought out, very detailed, very intelligent. Um, just for a couple of things that have changed between now and March 15th, I don't see a whole lot of adjustments there from an administrative point of view.
Okay, great, great. Did you have a chance to talk to your counterparts in the other towns about their reaction to their QRSD assessments?
Yes, I have, and for the most part, they can't afford the assessment from the Quabbin School District. We're trying to set up a meeting where we can talk about this all together rather than one-on-one.
Right, good.
And unfortunately, we'll have to. We tried twice. We'll have to try a third time because it hasn't happened yet.
Okay. All right, excellent. How are we doing? Did anything else on the 2022 budget? David?
We should talk a little bit about the capital.
Yes,
All right. So I think the proposed capital budget, let me pull it up on this other screen. Draws down free cash by $182,000.
yes.
All right. I'm not convinced that we have that kind of money.
Oh,
And it's a bit of a tangle. And the accountant and I are working on trying to untangle it. There is free cash there, but I don't know if it's quite that much. So when we get to talking about the warrant,
yeah,
we get to the capital article number 13, we should put that on hold for right now until we can verify that we can actually deliver on the capital plan at the annual town meeting. Worst case scenarios, we defer it till the fall town meeting.
okay. Okay. Would we put any of the capital budget forward in June,
Yeah.
or would we put the whole thing, we would defer the whole thing until the fall?
I think we can afford the small stuff in the capital.
Right.
The cruiser and the utility truck, cruiser for the police and the utility truck for the fire department aren't looking good if the free cash is not there.
Okay. Okay. All right. Why did we think we had it?
You know, I was gonna ask the same question. When will we know what
should-
free cash is available?
We should know in a couple of days. Apparently there was a tangle at the fall town meeting. I wasn't around to see it, but I think once the accountant and I have a chance to go through all the appropriations and returns, we should come up with a number. I think the lowest it's going to be is about $62,000.
And that 62,000 does not include the amount targeted to come from the Holden Hospital account?
Correct.
That would just be from free cash.
That would be 11,000 from the Holden Hospital. That I think we can count on.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and I noticed there's a whole burst of funds from CPA.
Yes. All told, CPA is kicking in just shy of $250,000.
Yeah.
Would it be helpful to go through those articles?
It would, because we have no visibility into the CPA and what they are up to.
Yep, that's
And,
been my
David-
experience.
David, also, Maria and I are new members to the FinCom here. I'd appreciate a little background on CPA and how that money is sourced.
Okay. So in a nutshell, CPA stands for Community Preservation Act. It is a local option to impose a higher tax on businesses and landowners and residents. That tax can be as high as an additional 3% surcharge on the value of property above $100,000. So if you have a house that is valued at $90,000, you're not paying anything into CPA. If you have a house of 120,000, you're paying 3% on the 20,000. I think Hubbardston is at 1%. So I don't think you're taxing at the max. It can be, the CPA monies go into a special fund, and they can be used for 4 purposes: open space preservation, recreation, housing, affordable housing, and historic preservation. And there are certain guidelines as to what those look like. CPA committees are typically very diffuse in terms of their accountability. Usually it's a 9-member board, and there's a member drawn from various committees, one from the select board, or 1 or 2 from the select board, 1 from the assessors, 1 from finance, 1 from conservation, 1 from planning board, 1 from any housing authority, and something like that. So there's no one body in town that can really give marching orders to the CPA committee. They're pretty autonomous because of that diffuse appointing authority. But they have done they can do a lot of good work on those 4 areas, and this year they're proposing $250,000. And significantly, you can borrow against your CPA, which is a way of maximizing the value of the CPA contribution. In addition to the 3% or whatever the surcharge is on residential and business taxes, there's a match from the state. And we get about, I think, they were telling me either 70,000 or 170,000 from the state, and I can verify that each year.
Thank you. That was very enlightening. One question though, how does the rate of 1% up to 3%, how is that determined? Is that by vote or mandate?
That's by town meeting vote.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the CPA articles. First one is 20,000 for Habitat for Humanity. This would be contributing towards the creation of affordable housing. So it's one of the 4 things that they can pay for. This request was submitted by Habitat for Humanity, and it's not unusual for CPA dollars to go to a private or nonprofit firm. The next one is the debt service for the library roof. I took a look at it. It's very nicely done, colorful slate, but this is the debt service for that.
Right.
There's property to be held, to be preserved, and this would be putting many acres into a program called the Agricultural Protection Restriction, or APR. It's a way of permanently protecting farmland for the future. It's usually a 90-10 contribution. The state kicks in 90% of the money, and the town is expected to contribute up to 10% of the money to buy the development rights on property, so that the town and the state jointly hold the property rights on farmland, and so that prevents future development, either by building houses on the property or partitioning the property up into building lots. So it's about as good as you get.
Is that on a specific property?
Yeah, that's a specific property off of Lombard Road.
Thank you.
If you go to the warrant article, it'll identify exactly which one it is. All right, the next one down is the CPA administrative, and I see that I put in the wrong number. Let me make that change.
Yeah.
I have $40,000 in there when it should be just $4,000.
Right.
But this pays for their administrative costs, legal review, postage, attendance at CPA meetings in Boston or elsewhere. This comes out of CPA money, so there's no additional impact upon taxes.
Right.
Then there are 2 articles for the renovation of the Clark Library. The first one for $33,000 for interior repairs and upgrades, and a $20,000 for the exterior landscaping and brick repointing. And they're trying to get that done in advance of the Route 68 road project in 2022 or 23. Then there's, that's it. I think that's all that we have for CPA.
That's right. That's right. Okay, great. Excellent. Well, I think, right. So before I move on here, do we have any more questions for David on the budget, on the 2022 budget? I don't have it.
I have no questions.
I don't have any.
Okay, great. David, how are we doing for budget to actual on this year's budget?
So far, so good. We should be at, as I said, 75% for revenues. We're at 80%, and the expenditures, I haven't gone through them all, but the aggregate is around 75%. So we're in good shape so far.
Great.
And I feel what I did in Hadley when I was town administrator there is I would create a monthly report of revenues and expenditures
Mhm.
in graph forms, and as well as with a table of numbers. I'd be happy to share that with the finance committee on an ongoing monthly basis.
That'd be great. Yeah, if you would, that'd be super.
All right,
The more the better.
more the better.
Yeah, especially for us greenies. It's really helpful just to get us up to speed and appreciate it as it's flowing through month by month. That would be awesome. I would really appreciate that.
All right, I'll make sure that we do that.
Thank you.
I should be producing that report in the next couple of days.
Can you go retroactive at all? Or
I
just,
can go back to last month when I started.
okay,
I think Ryan had been sending them out, I think, if I recall correctly. I can go through my emails and see what I have,
Okay.
because I'm remembering some reporting from him.
Yeah, I know that Ryan made quarterly reports. I'd like to know month to month where we are.
Right. Okay, great. All right. So moving along on our agenda. There's no further questions on the 2021 operating and capital budget. I had hoped that Chuck might be here because he's our capital improvements planning committee representative, and I was going to ask him for a report, but he's not here, so we will get that from him next time. And I had also hoped that with full attendance, we might have a preliminary review of the warrant articles here. But I'm thinking that I would like to do that. I would like to do that with the full committee. So perhaps we can use this time right now to ask David any particular questions that any of us has on the draft articles as presented now, and have a more fulsome discussion of them with the benefit of our full membership.
I don't have specific questions. I was looking forward to the discussion this evening after reviewing the proposed warrant and the multiple articles that we need to chime in on. I agree with you, Susan, that it should be the full FinCom involved in that discussion. So I'm willing to defer the discussion until we can reconvene with a full quorum.
Okay. Did you have, or Maria, do you have any specific questions that you wanted to ask now? I don't mean to shut you off.
No, I don't have anything right now.
Okay. Peter?
I don't have anything right now either. I'd defer the discussion for the full committee.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, because I think historically, I tend to be the most interested in in taking the temperature of the other towns as respects the QRSD assessments to see where things stand. So I'll be looking forward to that conversation.
I'll try to round up the folks.
Okay, great. I don't have the calendar in front of me, David, so perhaps you can remind me, but I think isn't it around May 12th that the warrant gets voted on by the Board of Selectmen?
They're scheduled to do it on May 10th, yes.
May 10th, okay, all right. So we have that luxury of time to get our recommendations in place. So perhaps after you close the loop with the other towns, David, you can let me know, and then we can set up another meeting.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, Great. All right, other and new business. David, is there anything you want to bring to our attention?
Yes, I do. I want to talk a little bit about the ARPA money. This is the American Rescue Plan Act,
Yes.
promulgated in Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
What is it, $1.9 trillion or something like that?
right.
Our cut of that looks like it's going to be 1,400,000 and change.
Wow.
This is an unofficial number. It's based upon the best calculations that the Massachusetts Municipal Association put together. So I've been told that the MMA estimate is ballpark correct, that we're looking at a 7-figure influx of cash to the town of Hubbardston.
Wow.
So what does that mean? We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't have much in the way of regulations or guidance from the US Treasury or from the state. We know broadly that we can use this money for recovery and economic development associated with COVID-19 and the pandemic and the lockdown.
Yeah.
We know that we can use it for lost revenues if we lost revenues. We can use it to support local businesses that were impacted by the lockdown. We can use it for infrastructure, and they specifically mention water, sewer, and broadband.
Okay.
So as soon as that information gets gelled up, I'll share it with you, but just keep your eyes on the horizon. The money will come in two chunks, the first one in 22 and the second one in 23. We have to use it all by 24.
Okay.
And they're not explicit as to we're talking about fiscal years or calendar years.
Right.
So the other thing I just wanted to bring up is how to get in touch with me.
Yep.
Cell phone is best. The select board have asked me to do Brian's job in 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not working out so well, but theoretically, I'm only around half time.
Okay.
So cell phone number is 413
Yeah.
320
Yeah.
6695.
Yeah.
If you need to get in touch with me, call me.
Okay.
Chances are I'm at town hall anyways.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes, I'm sure you are.
Will you respond to texts?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you're a trooper, David. Thanks for coming and helping us out.
It's a cool little town. I like it more every day.
Oh, good. Well, that's good. I keep meaning to join you all remotely at a Board of Selectmen meeting. I will try to aim for the next one, just to attend.
Next Monday.
Okay, put it on the calendar. Looking for exciting agenda items to pique my interest. And you have piqued it now with $1.4 million.
Yeah, I would expect the guidance to come out in about the next 30 days.
I like the water and sewer. We have neither.
Yeah.
You don't have much in the way of broadband either.
No, we could use roads though.
Yeah.
We could, but I don't even know if that's enough to do any kind of credible water and sewer just in advance of our town center project. That's what I'd like to see, is to have that in place before we beautify everything.
I'm sure there'll be several recommendations coming forward when this
Right,
becomes public.
right. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, we'll have it spent several times over, I'm sure.
It's the kind of problems you want to have.
It sure is. It sure is.
Found money.
That's a lot of money. Well, it was found at quite a price, as it turns out, so.
I heard it costs everyone $770,000 a year for years for that $1,400 check.
Well, good. They can come chase me for it.
Yeah, it's really not free.
No. No. It's not. It's not. But therefore, we must put it to exceptionally good use. Okay. All right. Any other or new business? I have none.
I have
I
nothing.
have none.
We're all good. David, you good?
I'm good.
All right, then I would welcome a motion to adjourn, and as I said, we'll wait for David to let us know when he's connected with the other towns, and we'll look to schedule a subsequent FinCom meeting at that point, which will be well in advance of our May 10th deadline.
Will do.
Great.
I'll second that motion.
Very good. All right. I vote yes.
Yes.
Yes.